All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Time for another mastermind where we can get you some great ideas that I know you can put to an application in your business immediately. Today, we've got some great agents from across the country. They're going to be sharing some ideas on what they're doing with AI specifically. And this is going to be a time where I want you just to lean in. I want you to take the time to listen, and don't just listen, but actually put these things into practice. Hey, while we're getting started, as we're letting everybody start coming in, tell us where you're from in the comments. That'll get us an idea of where everybody is coming in from. I'm just going to look here real quick and see we're in the chat where everybody is coming in from. Here we go. Coming in all over Rhode Island, Vail, Colorado, Tampa, Florida, New Hampshire, Maryland, Los Angeles, and Omaha, all over the country. Love seeing everybody here. Listen, this is what we're talking about from a standpoint of always being stronger together. So excited to actually start this off today with the CEO and president for Home Services of America, the one that coined the term stronger together, if I remember correctly. And so Chris Kelly, I'd love to have Chris come forward. And guys, we've got an action-packed hour for you. So Chris, if you don't mind, love for you to get us started and just anything you've seen recently or kind of anything along the lines of AI that you'd like to share.
Yeah, and before I get in trouble with anyone tuning in from Texas, from the Heavy Holiday companies, I have to give Stronger Together was my left, right arm. Melinda Howe, Betsy Cameron, Carolyn Rawson came up with that. And then I think Home Service said, that sounds pretty good. We should borrow that. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you letting them know that, because we both would have probably heard from Melinda. Or
exactly right. We don't want to get in trouble here. So, but no, good morning to everybody. Great to be with you. And real quickly, Jimmy and I were talking. I wanted to share something, I think, just to set the table a little bit for Allison and Olivia. We're going to come on and chat with you about AI. As we've gone around and had this conversation over and over again, one of the things that comes up is this kind of, some people are trying to introduce into our marketplace a little bit of fear-based around it. You know, like, oh, what does this mean for the real estate agent? What does this mean for the profession? And trying to drive some fear. And I think there's nothing to be afraid of about it here. And I was at the Risk Media event this past week, and one of the things I said is, we talk about AI so much, and everyone's infusing it to everything they say. Eventually, it's going to sound like, that one family member of yours that still says www before they give you the website. It's just going to be part of what we do. Like, we don't talk around saying, internet all day. And so it's just going to be infused with what we do. It's going to be an incredible tool more and more going forward for the folks that use it correctly. And the one thing I wanted to share real quickly for everybody is just, a chart here real quick. And so what this is tracking is the usage of real estate professionals by consumers, right? And so we're going all the way back to the 80s here. And you can see on the side there, percentage-wise, a little over 80% of the consumers were using a real estate agent for their transactions. In 1980 was about, 82, 83%, kind of bottoms out in 85. That first red line is kind of the advent of the internet, right? So, not pinpointing exactly when, the internet came into fruition, but let's say 95 to 2000 is when more and more companies started having an internet site, when listings started becoming available online. And you can see there, that, it's just a little bit under 80%. We go through the next 10 years, there's a little bit of fluctuation there on the usage of agents. Zillow, which would be kind of the entrance of portals, another fear base that, many in the industry had, about 2007. But since then, look what's happened, right? So, we feared the internet because consumers could get access to listings online. They wouldn't need to come to us as the gatekeepers of information anymore. And so what was that going to mean for us? It did not deter the use of a professional in such a significant life transaction like buying or selling a home. And AI is beyond information. It's knowledge, right? So there's fear-based now of like, well, if the consumer has access to information and they have access to knowledge, will they still need us? And again, I think the predominant answer is absolutely yes. And again, you can get on ChatGPT right now. You can get on WebMD. You can diagnose yourself, right and left with your stub toe that's going to kill you. You still go see a doctor at the end of the day, right? So having knowledge is great, but it doesn't replace the need for a professional to provide guidance, right? We're going to overwhelm them with knowledge, just like we overwhelm them with data and information via the internet as well, too. And so just want everyone's mindset to be right as you hear from the guests today, as you hear from Allison and Olivia, like, embrace this, right? This is nothing to fear. This is not, how is this going to replace me? This is, how do I use more of this so I get to do what I do best, which is be human. If I can unload some of this transactional stuff off to an AI assistant and to utilize AI that's cooked into some of the resources that I'm using, I get more time to be human with my clients. That is an absolute win.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I would say this also, and I think you and I have talked about this a good bit, but From a standpoint of will AI replace professional agents? Absolutely not. But will the agents that embrace this technology and lean into this and are the early adopters, will they outperform those that do not? I believe absolutely. So this is what we want to do today is we want to kind of equip you there. Hey, Chris, is leading a large organization, and we're all leading our own organizations, anything in particular that you do with the AI or any of the ChatGPT or anything in particular that you're using it that maybe
it's a constant tab on my phone and on my computer all day. I'm an old English major, so I still like to write, but I now have an editor, right? I can put something in and I can say, I want to change the tone of this a little bit. So I try not to use it from scratch because I want to keep those skill sets that I have on writing, up to date. Right. But this chart right here, I did this morning using AI. I used ChatGPT to produce this chart. And that was one of the things too, is I would hunt online all the time looking for graphical representations of some of the real estate data out there, because I just think we naturally learn better through visualization than just a spreadsheet of numbers and stuff. Most of us aren't of that engineering background in sales. And so using AI and ChatGPT or Copilot, whatever you particularly want to use to create graphical representations of what's happening in the market is something every agent can do right now. The data for your real estate market is unlimited. Now use your AI assistant to actually create some graphical representations that will be more impactful for a consumer to see. And so we use that all the time. Another example would be I love the generational trends report that NAR puts out every year. It's about a 135-page document that breaks down every single thing that a buyer or seller has said in their survey on using real estate professionals, how the transaction is working. I used to get that out every year and then meticulously go through it and try to find the right stuff. I still do that, but I just upload it into AI and say, hey, I really am curious about these 3 particular facts coming out of this document compared to past year surveys. What's changed, what stayed the same. And within 10 minutes, I have a full breakdown analysis that we can share out with the team members and stuff. So it's an opportunity to have a really fast assistant at your side. So again, you can focus on what you do best, which is being human, being with your clients, leaning into those relationships.
Hey, Chris, is there any way to when you're thinking about prompting this to take that data and put this in there, just even kind of almost like framework for that? Is there something that you would do with this? What do you start with? You've got the data and you just share the data and then you just ask it to put in graphical form, or how do you position that, I guess, to get these results? Yeah, and I'm guessing that you have it adjust a few times as well.
Yeah, you're educating it, right? And one of my favorite scenes from a movie is there's a boardroom scene from the movie Margin Call, where they're all sitting around talking about the financial crisis. And Jeremy Irons, who's the CEO of the big bank, says, "Speak to me as if I'm a young child or maybe a golden retriever." And that's how I prompt. I prompt in a very simplistic way of, hey, this assistant, I'm training them, right? So in this case, it was what I started off with why. You sometimes just want to start it with this is what I want you to do. I explained to it why. I want to be able to show our real estate professionals within home services how they are still just as important today, if not more so than historically. I'm going to give you some data points on the use of agents, historically going back to 1980. I want 2 specific points to be kind of noted: internet, real estate portals. And so again, I think it helps to put the why and not just the how or what you're after. You get better results faster with that. So just remember to do the why when you're prompting.
No, that's really good. That's really good. Hey, before we let you go, I just want to mention to people next week, man, I'm so excited about next week. You want to tell them what's coming next week? I mean, the presentation next Friday is going to be just so powerful and really position people to understand what's happening, what we're seeing, and then going to that next level. So can you share a little bit about that?
I was going to lie to them all and say that you are still going to be on next Friday and stuff, so we wouldn't lose any of the audience. But Jimmy will be at one of our incredible events for home services next week. And so I'm going to be substituting in. The good thing is we look so similar. I'll put my glasses on. Maybe no one will know the difference. But we have a really special guest. We're going to have Lawrence Yoon, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. Lawrence is going to do an entire presentation on where we are right now with the economy. It's perfect timing. We had a jobs report come out, just today. There's the talk of what the Fed's going to do in their September meeting. So it's a perfect timing to have Lawrence on and talk through what we should expect over the back half of 2025 into the year on the economy and how that will impact the real estate market going forward. So really excited to have Lawrence on.
Yeah, this is going to be great because I was with Lawrence a couple of weeks ago and we were discussing there were so many things, and literally in the last few weeks, we've started getting some clarity. So I know that he's going to have some fresh perspective on exactly where we are. And I know you always do as well. So I appreciate you, appreciate your friendship, appreciate everything you do for the industry, Chris. And we're going to get right on into this. Have a great day,
get
Chris.
on to the stars of the show, Allison and Olivia. Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Chris. All right. I'm going to actually share my screen. This is kind of the flow, what I'm thinking of as far as what we're going to do for the rest of this show, basically, is what I'd like to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to give you kind of a perspective on what I'm seeing right now. This is a little bit broader view on what I'm seeing that's happening right now. Then we're going to come into Allison. We're going to talk about very practically exactly what it is that you can do as far as letting you see the flow of how she uses AI in a transaction in preparation for a listing and actually going through the entire transaction. Then we're actually going to come in and we're going to talk to Olivia about actually some of the tools that she's utilizing. And then the end of this, Julie Colleen, as long as she gets out of her appointment, is going to be here. And we're going to actually go through and talk about, let you see some examples of some really high level things that she's doing now that's creating efficiency. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you don't mind, just let me know, if you don't mind, Sam, that you can see my screen once I get it pulled up here. We will get to that here in just a second. All right, you can see my screen. Let me go into presenter mode. All right.
The arrival of this intelligence.
Couple things here. This is actually Eric Schmidt, the ex-Google CEO. He is going to share with us. This was at a conference just in the last couple of weeks, and he was talking about the what this AI revolution, you could say, is, what it means, and this is what he had to say.
Both at the AI level, the AGI, which is general intelligence, and then super intelligence, is the most important thing that's going to happen in about 500 years, maybe 1,000 years in human society, and it's happening in our lifetime. So don't screw it up.
So ultimately what he's telling us is look, this is something that is literally generational that's happening right now. And as we're talking about this, it is changing so quickly. There's so many opportunities with this for us to be able to serve our clients at a higher level and also to be able to create efficiencies that we haven't seen this, at least probably in my lifetime. And I'm going back to the time when we started moving into the MLS. So from that standpoint, I just believe with all my heart, this is such a huge opportunity. So a couple of things I want to show you that I'm seeing right now is there is a difference that is changing right now. This is more of a broad view. We always focused in on search engine optimization, and what we're seeing now is we're seeing generative engine optimization. Basically what that is that's the term they're using for AI search. And a couple of things to kind of understand this a little bit. This is actually a chart that was done at the end of 2024. So things have accelerated since this point. But if you go back to 2020, 98% of all search was done on search engines. And if you look at this social media, there was 1% done. And then if you look over here on the AI chatbots, there was 0% of search because it wasn't even around, obviously, in that time period. Now, if you fast forward to the end of 2024 and you look at this, what we're seeing is we're actually seeing 61% right now is actually using the search engines for search. And what we're seeing with social media, and if you've noticed, obviously, we've talked about how Meta has changed where it's now a search engine. It's more about people and what they're looking for than it is about maybe the connections they have. We've seen now 17% of people are actually utilizing social media for search. Then just in the last year and a half, we've seen 30% usage of AI chatbots for search. Now, you may notice here that this is over 100%. It's because people are using search in different places for different things. Even if you go on Google today, it has the search, the AI that comes up at the top with the answer and then it gives you the selections on where you can go to get additional information. So things are changing there. So this is where the opportunity is. How do we get noticed by the AI as the local expert? So a couple of things that I want to do. Here's a couple things to just kind of look at as far as the keys to AI success. Now, if you want more details on this, I've actually got a video that's coming out on Sunday on this where I'm really breaking this down. But one of the things that we've been doing, and we've been working with a number of agencies, is to try to get to the top of that search with the AI search. And so a couple of things. Here's some things you can do to really optimize this. Optimize your Google business profile. Make sure that you have in there, you have your reviews, you have photos, you have hyperlocal content. the AI chatbots are actually searching for those things. And one of the first places they go is through your Google business profile page. And it's actually looking for specific things. It wants to look for consistency. It wants to look for reviews. It wants to look for what are people saying about you. And it will actually pull some of those reviews directly from there. And that's what it'll put in its answer. Also, hyper-local reviews that AI loves to quote. So these are a couple things is if you've got someone that's doing a review for you, that's a friend of yours, or maybe you're trading some of these out on Google Business Profile, make sure that you're asking them or that you're doing this for the people you're doing it for, and then you can explain it to them. But come in there and let them know. You would love for them to say, Jimmy is the best agent I know on 30A. Jimmy was super helpful in finding our home in Watercolor, Florida. Those are the things that basically are hyper local in those. And so if you have an opportunity, if you're coaching someone on a review, asking them to get hyper local with those things really does help. Consistent local content. You're going to see this in just a minute. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of this. And also branding and identity consistent everywhere. AI is just like Google was. It wants consistency. It wants to know. It doesn't want to be confused. So if your LinkedIn page has the same description as far as who you are, the areas you serve, as your Google business profile, as your Instagram, that consistency actually breeds trust with the AI. And then notice which sites AI is referencing. One of the things we've done is that we're going in and we're researching this. Now, let me just give you a heads up. And this is something my buddy Doug Edgerton told me about. He went in and searched on his phone with his ChatGPT and asked who the best agent was in his area. And it came back, of course, and says in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Doug Edgerton is the best. AI actually wants us to like it. So it will give you it'll make you feel better about yourself. He then went and checked on his wife's ChatGPT, and it actually didn't even show him up on there. So what he did is when we're talking about, notice which sites it's referencing. When you do the research in your local area, you will notice specific sites. It's crazy to think. Agent Pronto is one that just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it really uses this. It loves the rankings. So find, when you do your research, what are the sites that it's actually referencing when it's referencing who it's recommending or who it's mentioning in your local market. Make sure you're getting a presence on those sites. Here's a couple of examples of what this looks like. These are some things we're seeing right now also. So actually, this is Bridget Baldwin. She was on with us. And actually, she sent this to me. We were talking before we went live on the social media one and video one we did a few weeks ago. And I'd mentioning this, that I was really starting to dive into this. This is what she sent me, and she posted on her stories right after this. And this will get you an idea of the value of this. This is happening right now.
Okay, so I just had the craziest thing happen to me. I just left a listing appointment, and I do a lot of corporate relocation. It's a big part of my business, people moving in and out of Tucson for work. And the relocation company that helps them sends them a list of agents to choose from. They pick 2 that they meet with, and we come out and we give our opinions, and they pick one of us. So he looked at this list, and he's like, I don't know who to choose from this list. He uploaded the list into ChatGPT, and my dog, put me as number 1. And that's why he called me. That was the first. Anyway, make sure you're discoverable by the robots, because they will eventually.
A couple things here. Obviously, my dog. This is one of those where you want to be recognized. And again, this comes back to her performance and what she does consistently on social media, what she's doing with everything she's doing in her business. But you want to be that agent of choice with AI. So concentrate on this a little bit. Lean into this a little bit. Here's another one. This is actually from one of the agents here, Colby Anderson, that works here locally with me. He had a builder that was looking for a $6+ million place that he was getting ready to build. Colby was going to be working with him. He went in and searched, and he asked for who could help with social media with some of the things. Who's an agent there? And look what it did here. It actually came in social media savvy realtors, Colby Anderson, and it goes recently posted. So here's what I was talking about: recency. Recently posted about a place in that specific neighborhood. You'll notice here it's noting Instagram, it's noticing Facebook. So when you're talking about the social, the consistency actually works. Who he is and what he's doing. These are actually quotes from his description of him, his team, actually on his website. So be thinking from a standpoint of where you're answering questions on your bios, because those are things that are out there. Also, you'll see these promoted, frequent reels, TikToks with listings in the specific neighborhood. This is where that value comes. So these are a couple things that you can see that are working right now with that. And so with that in mind, that is an overview of what we're seeing. I want to come to Allison next. And actually, Allison, if you can join me here. I loved the fact that Allison is so practical with this. And Allison, if you don't mind, tell everybody where you're located, kind of the areas you serve, because listen, if y'all have somebody that is heading this direction, I cannot tell you, Allison takes care of people like family. So Allison, thank you for coming on. If you don't mind, I'll let you introduce yourself. While you're doing that, I'm gonna pull your slides up, okay?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I am in Needham, Massachusetts, so a suburb of Boston. So basically, I serve all of the Metro West Boston suburbs.
All right, I'm getting them. Bear with me. Bear with me here. All right. All right, Allison. Tell us a little bit about how you're utilizing AI on a major scale, and then we're going to get into this specific test case, if you don't mind.
Sure. So like Chris said, I have that tab open all day long on my screen, on my phone. I use it for everything. So as a solo agent, I don't have an assistant. So I use ChatGPT really to streamline any repeatable task that I have that could otherwise take up to hours. So I really use it to save time, especially when I'm super busy. And that's how all these email templates started. Like, they're touch points during a transaction, and a lot of them came from pain points that I hadn't quite anticipated. For example, the one there, the 1 week before closing final reminders. I was at a closing table and buyer and seller are arguing over whether or not the lawn should have been mowed. Okay, from now on, a week before closing, you get an email that has all of these reminders. Don't forget to check the dishwasher, the laundry machines, and please mow your lawn or shovel the snow. So they also allow me to stay in touch during what I call the quiet time, right? Between purchase and sale and closing, when there's not as much reason necessarily to stay in touch with the client. I have several things in here, like a post-purchase and sale template, a smoke inspection and water reading email, and I just have them scheduled to go out, maybe once every week, every 10 days to the client to stay in front of them.
Hey, Allison, I know that you had mentioned that, kind of prompting these, if you can just give kind of an overview of kind of how you start with that, and that would be great, just to give people an idea of, like, let's use any one of these you want to use, of how you might have prompted to get that letter put together, or that template.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know, maybe the 1 week to closing, because I was just talking about that. So I put into ChatGPT, I said, please, because you told us to say please. So please help me draft a template email. The audience is a seller. It's 1 week before closing with some helpful reminders. And I might list a few that I can already think of. Like, now I remember mowing your lawn, checking your machines, making sure it's clean, when the final walkthrough will be. And then I end usually with, is there anything else that I'm missing, or anything else that you think I should put in there? And then it'll come back with a whole bunch of topics and tasks and outline it in a template email. So then, of course, I have to edit it and make sure it's in my voice and works for me or my location. But it's a very simple prompt. Please create a template that geared towards this audience that gives them this information.
Yeah, this is great. And once you've got these, it looks like you're saving these as Word documents, or how are you saving these and then utilizing these?
I save them as Word documents and send them out just from my regular email so that they seem more personalized, rather than like a drip campaign through a CRM. They're more personalized, and the feedback I get every time I send one of these, it's just such appreciation. They thank me for checking in. They value the information, and they feel like it's been personalized to them, even though I pull it from a template, tweak it a little bit, and then just hit send.
Perfect. All right. Tell us a little bit about some of this. This is kind of some of those, or what would this look like?
Exactly. So the top left one there, please draft a template email to sellers who are preparing for a home inspection, some helpful hints, what do they test or not test, and how long it takes. That was in response to an inspection yesterday, and the client said, well, what are they going to do? And I said, great, I need to have a template for this. So now I have this template ready to go, and just drop in the date and time so that the sellers can be prepared for their inspection.
This is great.
Yep. And
this is great.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh,
tell me this one right here.
Okay. This is a fun one. So I had a call from a customer. Of course, I was on vacation, And I use the Plod. I don't know if anybody else has one or uses them. I love it. I just tell the customer, would you mind if I use my AI note taker? Nobody minds because it allows me to listen and pay attention to them.
Hey, can you tell them a little bit about the Plod and what it is also, because it's such a great tool?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see. It's like credit card thin. It's this little recording device. You slip it in one of those pockets that magnetize to the back of your phone, and it records the conversation. But not only does it record the conversation, it summarizes it. So you can get what you see in front of you, which is the full transcript, but then you can also ask it to summarize it and have a list of tasks at the end. So for example, you're meeting with a client, you say, okay, great. I'll get back to you tomorrow with an updated CMA, a lender recommendation, this, or this, or that, and maybe you didn't write it all down. This little guy has recorded all that and will create that to-do list for you that you can just check off.
This is so good. And so is this an example of one of those? Is that what this is right here?
Yeah, so that is just the very beginning of a conversation. There's really no meat in that. But what I did was what's highlighted at the top as I dropped it into chat. So I had a few like interesting moments in this conversation where I felt like I wasn't quite understanding her in the sense that she seemed very direct, but there was like a big emotional component to selling this estate. So I wanted to get a better handle on her personality and perhaps how to react and respond appropriately. So I dropped the transcript into ChatGPT and I asked it to please analyze this transcript, focusing on speaker one. Please pull out what's important to the speaker, their personality type, and I don't know what the end is. But if you go to the next slide, please. I don't know, it's kind of small enough you can see it, but after we had a lot of analysis, it gave me this list of suggestions, how to market and position the property, what to do, give a straightforward assessment, but not too much data all at once. Provide for pricing and listing, provide a simple and clear expectations about how pricing works, marketing, and so on. It gave me a really clear path of how to communicate effectively with this client.
See, what I love about this, Allison, is you're literally coming in and literally you're having the ability to understand, as with the platinum rule of how do I present or give the information to them in the way that they would like to receive it. And this just does all of this for you with just a few clicks and utilizing the AI to do this. So, I mean, literally it's even, I'm looking at the slide now, it's going through suggestions on your pricing and listing strategy, marketing, showing the process, offers, closing and transition support, all of those things that will be important, or how to make them and present them in a way that are going to be important to them. I mean, this has got to be assisting a lot with everything that you're doing with everyone that you're interacting with.
Exactly. So this shifts now a little bit to using it for some of the social media that you and I had talked about. So I really like to use ChatGPT as my assistant. I like to use it to bounce ideas off of, to brainstorm. And the great thing, right, like if you have an assistant or a marketing manager or somebody and you've gone back 3 or 4 times, after the 4th time, it's like, if it's not right, it's hard to ask again. But with ChatGPT, right, it wants to please, is what I'm told. So I don't have any problem continuing to go back and edit and tweak until I get what I want. So here's just a simple prompt. What are some creative video ideas for me using an empty new construction house? It gives me 10 ideas. I think I honed in on number 2. I don't think my videos are in this slide deck.
They are.
Okay, so I ended up with using number 2 and pulled that out just to help draft the script and then eventually into production. And then I still have, 8 other ideas here that I could use if I wanted to.
So, Allison, I know you use a lot of video, obviously, in your business. Has it helped you? Are you utilizing it for scripts, or are you just kind of getting an idea for like this, the concept, the hook, the angle, and then you're modifying based on what it's getting you?
Both. So I do a lot of video off the cuff. I'm terrible at memorizing scripts, but I've used ChatGPT so much, it's getting to know me, gets to know my style, gets to know that I start every video with like the hey everybody and always happy to help. So I was walking on the beach the other day. I had an idea. I wasn't quite sure exactly how I wanted to what all the words were going to be. But the idea was, I've been reading a lot, sort of the calm before the storm right now, right? Like everything was a little bit quiet. We think it's going to get very active again this fall, and the ocean was really calm. So I pulled out my phone, said, here's my idea, and it spit back like instantly a quick 30-second video that I was able to self-record on the beach. I did take the script, dropped it into captions, used the teleprompter and all of that. But what did it take? 5 minutes out of my walk?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And so you are using captions to utilize that for some of the as a teleprompter? Is that what you're doing on some of these?
Yep. Yes.
What about editing?
Go ahead.
What about editing? Are you utilizing anything in particular on editing as far as an AI tool? Are you using CapCut? Are you using, captions? What are you using?
I primarily use CapCut and captions. So captions for the teleprompter and obviously to add the captions, and CapCut if I want to splice video or do something a little bit more creative. Otherwise, it's just straight out of the camera and into whatever platform.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, we're going to keep moving here. This is kind of the content calendar and kind of the marketing campaign.
So much here. So if anybody wants the actual prompt from where I started with this, I can't remember who I borrowed it from, so I like to give credit when I can, but I don't have it in front of me. So basically, I've been thinking about, what do I want to focus on next? What's my ideal client? Who do I really like working with? And I followed this prompt and it drilled it down for me what type of client I'd like to try to target next. Downsizers, stage of life, I don't want to be micromanaged. I want to work with somebody a little bit older than I am. And that's where I feel like we've had the most success and collaboration. So I started to go down this path with ChatGPT, and I asked if we were to expand this integrated campaign into a 3-month campaign, what might it look like? And it gives me this amazing 3-month downsizing campaign calendar where each month has a clear theme, the content is layered across everything I do with social media posts, blogs, videos, newsletters, Google business profile updates and question and answers, and then newsletter content. So it's all laid out for me. I just need to do it. And frankly, ChatGPT will probably create most of it.
Have you done one of these recently? Is this an actual one that you did, or is this something you're still working on right now?
It's done. I just need to implement it. So I just got to approve the paper, and that's the fall plan.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I love
the video for this one. But the other, so little R&D. So you see things online. Other agents are doing great creative work out there, and sometimes I borrow it. So here is an example. Actually, it goes back to that first example with the plot and the transcript. I saw a video online, and here's the sample script. The home is not in move-in ready. In fact, you'll probably want to upgrade a lot of things, etc. I loved the video, but I needed to tweak it a little bit because this particular client just was so emotionally attached to the property. I didn't want to offend her. So anyway, I had ChatGPT draft the video using the original script as inspiration, and it gave me a great video, one of my highest viewed, actually.
That's awesome. And so I think this is a great point. That's the value of and this is why I would go follow Allison right now. You want to do some R&D from the person who's doing the R&D. Also, it's a great way to find some things. So make sure you're following Allison, because I follow Allison. I told her, I don't know, this has been 6 months, a year ago. I remember we were talking one time and I was like, man, it just seems like every time I open up, you're right there. It's just the consistency of what you're doing and the way it's done that. So this is really, really good stuff. And then this is kind of the flow, I guess, of those things, I guess, is what this is.
So the social media aspect, right? So I'd like to tie it all together. I know that not everybody sees every post or every video, but I want to try that. So this theme came from a conversation with a customer. They were talking about selling directly to a builder, or should they put their property on the market? So that's where a lot of my content comes from. They come from actual conversations I've had. So I dropped it into ChatGPT, asked it to create a blog post. You'll see that I've got the word "need'em" a lot. I'm really trying to get that generative optimization, to have my location in there. So selling to a builder versus listing on the open market, created the blog, dropped that in. Then I did a video with the same theme. And the last thing I created was a carousel from the content. So it's all tied together. And throughout that week, hopefully somebody has seen at least one of these pieces of content on the same theme. And then it's posted across all platforms.
Well, and this is another one of those where the consistency, and when we're talking about the generative, this is where the consistency across different platforms really gives clarity to the AI also to understand. And like you said, you're using Needham in just about every conversation and everything that you're doing, which is really driving that home too. So now we're getting to some post-closing information.
So same thing, you know, after a closing, instead of the just sold, I really want to share the story. So I use ChatGPT to help me write the story. And it's a very simple prompt. Please help me write a just sold or a seller success story and ask me enough questions to write the story for the website, blog, and carousel. So it comes back at me with a list of 20 questions. Who is the seller? What is their story? Where are they going? What were the hurdles? What were your successes? Asking price versus sales price, all of that. I answer everything. And then it creates the story for me. And instead of saying just sold, it's from preparation to perfect price, how a year of planning led to the sale. And that's the truth. It took a year for these downsizers to, you know, help finally be ready to make their next move. And so it tells the story kind of like you can do it too, right? It's okay if you're out from it. This family, it took them a year, but they got what they wanted in the end.
Yeah. This is, and I know your market, obviously in the Northeast, is a little bit different than most markets where we're seeing days on market continue to go out. We're seeing more and more expired listings. But I will tell you, Allison, one of the things we've done really too is on these seller success story type of posts is we're trying to end those with, share this with someone you know who would love to, who is considering selling a house or who would love to sell their home. It's actually calling for the share with, and you'll be amazed at how that actually helps with those things. And I know that you've been doing a lot of these seller success stories. And like you say, it drives home the understanding that people can connect with the story. And also it gives you the ability to share the process, and really does create an opportunity for people to see themselves working with you before they even engage with you. So this is just such good stuff.
Okay. So I know this slide's a little fuzzy, but so this is about the organization. This really helps me stay organized. And this is where I say, again, ChatGPT is my assistant. It unloads, as Chris was saying, that transactional stuff to allow me, you know, to be face-to-face and supporting my clients. So for each transaction, I have a folder. I create a project. And in the project files, I add the public record. Once MLS is live, I drop that in there. And anything else to help, again, create the story of the property. The correspondence back and forth between myself and the client, that gets dropped in there so that it can learn their style and help me how to best respond. And then, as you can see, I know, again, it's fuzzy, but from the bottom, you've got the MLS listing questions. Please ask me enough questions to draft the listing. And this was another one that was... the goal was to market it to an end user, even though the home needed some love. It'd been in the same family for decades. So we really had to craft that story. So it keep everything in one place.
Yeah, listen, Allison, all of this stuff is just so good and so practical, so many different ways. I do want to encourage people, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, follow Allison on, if you want to see the process, because I've been watching this for a couple of years now, since we got to know each other, Allison, and I just love the way that you consistently show up on social. And I've literally utilized this to share with other agents on what I see as a great process of showing a little bit behind the scenes of what you do, sharing the processes, and actually very targeted on the type of clients you're there. And now that we get kind of pull the curtain back and we start seeing how you're utilizing AI, hopefully what agents are seeing that are watching this is an understanding that, hey, you too can do this. And a lot of times what they see, the end product, there were so many of these small steps with AI to get you there. Hey, anything in addition to what we've talked about that you're using it for right now as we wrap up your time here?
Oh, goodness. I mean, like we use it for absolutely everything in this house. Anytime I want to ask a question, that's where we go to the slide earlier with the search. But I mean, the analyzing the data, putting an offer in for somebody the other day, they were really stuck on the price. I did my analysis, dropped it into ChatGPT, And you know what? It justified the price. He was able to very quickly pull out the best comparable properties and allowed me to. So the second part of that is that it gave me a very data-driven email. These are not data-driven clients, so I had to then tweak it. Please, not so much data-driven. Can you tone it down a little bit? And it helps me write a really great email to justify the price.
Yeah. And this is just such good stuff. Allison, I don't know what your schedule looks like. We will have a time for Q&A at the end. If you're around, if people have questions, you can queue those up. Sam will have those ready for us when we get to that portion. But thank you, Allison. And we'll come back to you here in just a few minutes. Olivia Sawyer, if you can come forward now, I would love to. I'm going to go ahead and bring you forward because what we're going to talk about with Olivia is specifically, we're going to talk about some of the things that she's utilizing as far as tools. And some of those tools are actually going to give us a better understanding of exactly what that looks like. So, Olivia, as we go through this, I'm going to shift over. If you don't mind, tell people again, because you were on here just a few weeks ago, so I appreciate you're always willing to help and share with agents. If you don't mind, tell them where you serve, kind of your business, what it looks like, and I'll be pulling the slides up while you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Olivia Salyer. I'm here in coastal Virginia. And by that, I mean Virginia Beach all the way up to Richmond in what's called the Northern Neck. So it's a nice big triangle about 100 miles in each direction. But I do a lot of waterfront. I do a lot of historic homes. And so if you ever have anyone moving in this area, please give me a shout. But this is my AI stack. So I wanted to be able to give everybody watching here today just some easy tools that you can start using literally today. This is stuff that I use on a day-to-day basis. And if you want this deck, you can use my little QR code there. So don't worry about having to take too many notes. I have it available for you guys all to use. But these are my main 5 apps that I'm using right now. And if you want to move on to the first slide, Jimmy, we're going to try.
Absolutely.
We're doing ChatGPT first. So this is obviously my day-to-day. I use it in a very similar way as Allison and as Chris and Jimmy have talked about. This is now my search engine. This is it's instead of like having Google on my phone, it's down right next to my text messages and my apps on my phone. It's like the most used app on my phone now. But I also have it on every single desktop. I use it for all of these different things, like the deep research, competitive analysis. You heard some of these things that Allison's doing too. It's fantastic for that. You can use it to look up other agents in your market, see what they're doing, and how you can then either be better or do something different that then gets picked up in the generative search optimization that Jimmy was talking about at the beginning of this. And so again, I use it for everything. I generated these images that you can see on it. I put them on my social media for a quick and like in the middle of a meeting reaction. Like the examples at the bottom, this kitchen, I asked it to quickly, like I snapped a picture of the kitchen, I put it in there, I was like, make these cabinets white. And while I was chatting with the sellers in this listing appointment, I could then display on my phone what it would look like to have a white kitchen to make a point of how we could stage their house better for a higher price to sell. Things like that. Social media copy, I use it to brainstorm almost everything that I write. Allison uses it for her blog posts. I use it for similar uses. I am not as organized as Allison though, so I'm definitely going to implement her folders. 100% love that. So I love learning too. But, this is fantastic to be able to use for literally everything you do. And once you start to use it, like this is getting over the fear, like we talked about at the beginning, is the hardest part. Once you start to use it, the ideas of how to use it just start to flow. And so, I also really love it for trends research, local guides. If you're looking for stuff to do to support local, like I have clients who ask me like, hey, where do I go to dinner tonight or whatever? And I quickly tap it into chat and it gives me a really lovely printout that I can just like text to them or, whatever we need to do. Again, it saves time because AI is for efficiency, whereas real estate is about building those relationships. So everything I use it for here in this list is about that. But the last but not least thing that I really use it for a lot, my area is very, very heavily HOA. It's harder to find a house not in an HOA than within one here. And so I have now built a database in my chat with every single HOA covenants that I have for every neighborhood in the entire area. And so I can go into that chat and ask it questions on the fly while I'm showing homes, giving listing presentations of like, hey, the HOA is going to hit you for this color of your door, because I know that while I'm there, because all of that information is in chat for me. So really, really easy to start using it. It's my day-to-day, everyday AI use. So moving on to, go ahead, Jamie.
Olivia, before we move on to that next slide, if you don't mind, I love the practicality of optimizing your routes. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because look, I think these are things that we have all throughout our careers taken so much time to figure out, okay, well, what's the route I should use? And then how do I time this out? And how do I put this 5 houses I'm going to show this weekend in a organized fashion that just flows? Can you talk about kind of what that looks like and how you do that?
Yes, absolutely. And even... Oops, sorry.
Sorry about that. Jimmy, you have something in your lower right-hand corner of your screen that's covering up some of the content. Do you have any overlap there?
No, I'll tell you what, Sam, you got these, I think you got these slides this morning. Do you mind queuing them up where you can share these slides if you don't mind?
Go ahead and keep it up and then I'll put her deck up.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect. Just let me know. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Sam.
So while they're doing that, the optimized routes. So I love the speech feature in ChatGPT. You can pull it up, y'all, and you can just like hit a button and talk at it and ask it questions and it'll talk back to you. So while I'm in the car before I have even just asked me, hey, these are the 3 addresses that I'm showing. Can you give me a route that is fastest from one to the next, starting at this point, XYZ, wherever I am. And so it's done that. It's like takes 5 seconds and then I can just follow that route. If you have more time in advance, what I recommend doing is writing out your addresses, putting them into chat and asking it to optimize. If it's under, I think it's 15 homes, it will optimize it for you and even you can ask it to give you a Google link, like a Google Maps link to then you just plug that into your phone and get in your car. Right. I love this because a lot of times with my routes, like there are 3 massive gated communities where I am at. So I want to make sure I'm optimized the route and I don't like start on the west side of the neighborhood and go back to the east side and back again. And so by putting this into a efficient route without spending hours myself like toggling it around on Google Maps. So easy to do. And my clients appreciate it too because we can see more homes or we can spend more time in the home.
Hey, everybody, let me just say this. Let's give Sam Guillen some applause here because, I mean, he has fixed this.
Thank you, Sam.
I'm sitting here, and this is what I was struggling with. I couldn't really see my screen here, so this is great. Thank you, Sam. Really, really appreciate that. And if we can, I know Olivia's ready to go to that next slide, if you don't mind also, Sam.
Yeah, now you guys can see that white kitchen too. So, all right. We're on to Canva. So Canva is something I also use on a day-to-day basis. You can see some of the things that I've created here on the right-hand side. These are things that, if you follow me on socials, you'll see this. Feel free to hit me up anytime too. If you see something I post to ask me how I created it, always happy to share. But these are super easy templates that I made in Canva. If you look at the opening doors with Olivia one, that's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side in the middle, I had it make this logo for me and it's for my radio show. I just like gave Canva a prompt and it's now got AI integrated in. And I was like, I want kind of like a little bit of a retro feeling logo that matches this radio station's logo, but still defines me and uses my brand colors. So, I put my brand into Canva and it just spit this out and it was like 15 seconds. I threw that on my headshot, done, easy. I come from a heavy marketing background and, using Photoshop and the Adobe suite, it was so heavy. It's so time consuming, but I wanted my marketing to look professional. Canva, in my opinion, is the first purchase that you should make because for $20 a month, you look like you have a full marketing suite behind you making these assets. And you can use them again and again. And the time saving that Canva gives me is just phenomenal. These are, to me, very professional looking assets that are above and beyond what anyone in my market is doing. And I can do them with myself. I don't have to wait on a marketing team. I don't have to wait, I can do it in 9 o'clock at night or whenever, right? We don't have to work around business hours for a marketing team. And so I've put on the left-hand side, just some of the capabilities of the AI generation in Canva, so you can see it. But like the creating a mirrored on the shoe, like blurring stuff out, getting rid of the background. I use that feature every day because, you can put something into it and you can actually ask it like, erase these trash cans that the photographer forgot to remove from this picture, and so it can just give you a better presentation for all of your assets. So Canva, highly recommend.
Yeah. And this is stuff, I mean, literally, like you were talking about, this is your team. This is your marketing team.
This is my marketing team. I don't have to pay someone $20 a month.
Right. And what you were talking about, whether it be flyers, whether it be video content, whether it be all those things, blurring backgrounds, all those editing, all that stuff, that is literally a team. I mean, literally, it's very unlikely you're going to have one marketing person that can do all the things that Canva's AI can do. So this is phenomenal.
Well, and Jimmy, I made this slide deck in Canva. So there you go.
Yeah, there it is. I know. All right, next slide. There we actually go back
One more,
the other direction.
Go back the other direction. There we go. Now we're on to Gamma. Okay, so you can do similar things in ChatGPT that Gamma provides. This is one that I really, really like because I like to bring a customized listing presentation to every different listing appointment that I go to. Previously, before I found AI, that would take me hours. I could never really get to the point of professionalism and look and content that I wanted in my listing presentation because I just didn't have time. And with Gamma is an AI presentations app. Again, I want to say it's like $15-20 a month. I try to go on 2-3 listing appointments a week. And so the time saving that this app gives me is phenomenal. You can put a lot of information in, similar to what Allison does with ChatGPT with her folders that she showed you. I kind of do here. You can import info about the house, and you can just have it make it for you. So these are some slides about a waterfront property that I listed recently, and I was trying to sell them on the staging and design and preparing for market. It's a $3.4 million house, so it needed to look very professional. I was competing for this listing, so I wanted it to look the best. I want it to be useful as well. And so, I just asked it to put together like a preparing for market slide and the look and feel of the design and the outdoor living and pool enhancement suite. Like those are the big selling points that I knew were going to be what buyers look at, but I needed the sellers to understand because what I was asking them to do was about $45,000 to $50,000 worth of changes to this $3 million house, which makes sense at that price point. But when they've lived in the house that long, they don't want to do that. They're like, well, what's wrong with my house? Nothing's wrong with your house, but look at these pictures. These pictures show the $3.4 million that we're trying to get you. It's about the money. This just demonstrates why. So I do that now for every single listing appointment. And I really probably spend about a half hour in here on it. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is good. And let's head on to the next
slide. So you guys are probably going to be familiar with this one. Allison's already talked about it. I love Plod as well. This is a daily use case for me. Just talking about some of the other ways I use it outside of how Allison uses it. I like the Note pen. So Allison used the Plod Note, which you can see there. It is the most expensive AI thing that I use, but like for $170, worth it. 100% worth it because you saw it takes the notes. It summarizes the notes. And what I do is I have this thing on me at all times. I'm not always recording, but when I'm in the car, that's where I sometimes get my best ideas for like, oh my gosh, I can list it this way, or I can do this hook on my next video. And I'm not trying to write a bunch of copy down while I'm driving. And so I really love this because I have just a note that's like ideas note or to-dos note, and I throw that in there, and then I have it remind me, and I've got that system set up. So when I'm back at my desk, it's there, it's front of mind, and I can implement it immediately once I am actually at my workspace. But I do use this in listing appointments too. Of course, definitely depending on your comfort level, let them know you're recording them or not. My AI assistant's going to take my notes, but it's phenomenal if you're dealing with a big house. Like I list sometimes 7,000 square foot houses, and there is not enough time to both be engaging at a listing appointment and also taking notes on their mechanical ages and all of the systems and everything that you need to know. But those are questions you ask in that meeting that you want to have in a note. So what I do is I applaud record it, and I take that note and I put it into ChatGTP and I have it create a feature sheet from the note of my listing appointment. That's something that used to take me an hour to do. And then I had to remember it. And I'm not gonna lie, I have not a good memory. I'm a goldfish. And so like, I need this help. And I know Julie, you can talk about this too when you pop on. I know you wear this almost daily as well. So we can go on to the next. All right. Last but not least, I recently started using this. If you guys don't follow Rajiv, you really should be watching Rajiv's podcast. I'm grateful to be on an AI mastermind with him, creating some new products potentially for us at Berkshire. And I am demoing this one specifically right now. Now, for those who are scared about AI, for those who are not sure how to use it, this is really a good tool to start. If you don't want to dig into Chat GPT and make your own systems, start here at DAC Lab. It's super easy to use, and when you go in on this slide right next to the logo, that's what it looks like when you just log into DAC Lab. And you can do AI photo editing. You can do a smart message. You can ask it to help you put the listing strategy together. I like the virtual staging. It's got two really, really strong platforms, the inspection report analyzer and the contract analyzer within it too. Now, this is a pared back version. So like I use Virtual Staging Pro as a standalone app. It is much more robust when you use it standalone. But if you don't need that, if you just want to put a couch in a space, you can see here on the right-hand top corner that I just threw a couch in there because that was a vacant space. Look how much better that looks, right? If you only need to use this a handful of times a week, this is great for you if you're not ready to dive into Chat GPT specifically. But also, for this one, because it's got so many, it's like an aggregator of all these different AI apps. I really recommend it as a starting point. It's great. And so you can see the inspection report analyzer, which is down on the bottom left next to that QR code. So this is a screen grab from that. Essentially, I threw in one of my inspection reports into this thing, and it's a very high level report, but what it says is like how much money this might cost. What are the biggest items? What are the scariest items? And they say, urgent items now, things that you can wait on. And then you can see 9 urgent repairs, 8 that can wait, and they put money behind it. So then you can go negotiate that. And it also gives you negotiation recommendations. Same thing for the contract. So the bottom right corner of this slide, that is the contract tool, the analyzer tool. I put one of the recent contracts that I was negotiating in here. It gave me an immediate, very high line, like here's the price, here are the contingencies, here are the things to wonder about, here are all your dates. I have sometimes 15, 20 deals going at one time. Sometimes I forget dates, throw that in there. You've got everything in one dashboard. It's very easy. But what I really love about this contract analyzer is it will give you negotiation suggestions. Like, hey, the biggest thing on this contract is the HOA contingency. You have 3 days. If your clients want to get out of the house and they don't want to see, like they don't want this, that's the biggest time frame to be aware of. Or, this contract does not have a home sale contingency. It'll tell you that. Now, does it excuse reading the contract? No. Please read your contracts. But this does give you a high level, like if you're busy or if you need to call your client quickly, it gives you some talking points that, again, it's about efficiency. It's about allowing you to do your job the best that you can.
This is such good stuff, Olivia. Yeah, and Sam, if we can, we'll stop sharing our screen. Olivia, you use these things at such a high level, and I want to make sure that everyone that's out there that gets a chance, obviously, that can follow follow you. I'd love for them to follow you again. We were on just a few weeks ago with some of the things that you were doing on social media. I mean, it's amazing the way you're utilizing these tools. All right, we're going to wrap up, and Olivia, if you can hang around, we're going to wrap up really quickly. I wanted to give one example. I asked my friend Julie to come on just yesterday afternoon, and so Julie Colleen, if you can come forward also. And as we're doing that, if you don't mind, I am going to share my screen, and please tell me if I can't see my screen. So if you will, Sam, jump in here and tell me if you can't see this. Julie, introduce yourself, where you serve, if you don't mind, and kind of a little bit about your business, and then I'll pull this up in just a second.
Yeah, Jimmy, we don't see your screen yet.
Okay, I'm not sharing it quite yet. I'm going to let Julie introduce herself, then I'm going to go over there if that's okay.
Thank you. So I'm Julie Colleen. I'm in the St. Louis, Missouri market. Let's go Chiefs. And
it's that day. It's tonight. It's tonight.
It is tonight. It is tonight. I've been selling real estate since 2018. So diving into AI as much as possible. So I sent Jimmy this video, and go ahead and
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna share it real quick, and again, just let me know if you can. If we're seeing something in the bottom, let me know, and I can move this around. But I'm gonna just go into this presentation mode where you can see this. This is a video that Julie just recently did, and then I'm gonna let you just see a portion of this, and then I'm gonna let Julie tell us about it.
Are you ready, Dardine Prairie? Prairie Day is back, Saturday, September 27th, and it's the biggest event of the year. It's from noon to 5, and make sure to bring the kids. There will be inflatables, face painting, a climbing wall, airbrush tattoo.
Hey, for time's sake, Julie, I'm gonna just stop it there. You know, this is something we talk about, always having that hyper-local content, helping it help you be recognized with AI as the local expert. You want to tell us what's different about this, Julie?
Yeah, so if you go on my Instagram, you'll notice that these photos I do, the green screen background and the cutting myself out, kind of the talking head, that's pretty much what all my videos are, based in Dardine Prairie and the surrounding area. I finally, after a couple months of kind of playing around, I finally decided to play around with AI, and that is actually an avatar. It's not me. So that was my first video that I put out, and I felt confident enough that I mastered it enough to where it was good to publicize. So anyway, so I had someone ask me, like, did it save you a bunch of time? I'm like, no, it took me 2 months. But is it going to save me time? Yes, it is.
Yeah. Julie, so, what tool did you use to do that with?
Yeah, so the avatar itself, I used HeyGen. So HeyGen, HeyGen. HeyGen does allow you to do the audio with it also, but I wasn't satisfied with the way it was being produced because I wasn't able to kind of fluctuate and give the emotion of my speech that I typically do. So I used 11 Labs for the audio. So I copied. Obviously, the script comes from chat. After playing around with it, comes from chat. I copy and paste the script into 11 Labs. It gives me the audio. Download that and throw it into HeyGen, and then the avatar creates the video.
Yeah, this is so good. And now that you've got everything set up, again, you know, this is the thing is like with Julie, Julie's done the work. I mean, she's just given you what took her 2 months to figure out in 2 minutes, literally. And so I would just encourage you now what we're going to see, and again, I would go follow Julie as well. I mean, she does a ton of hyper local content like what we've talked about. And it's very effective. And she's one of the best marketers I know also. So follow her and you're going to see some of these examples. I think, Julie, you mentioned you got one coming out today that will be your second AI. And so, you know, generated. And I will tell you, literally, I text Julie this morning. I was like, I'm just making sure. Is this the video? I don't want to put up the wrong video. And she said, well, that's proving the point that obviously I think that's a good point. So that's really good stuff. Hey, Julie, as we wrap up, because I want to be cognizant of everybody's time, and then we're going to do Q&A. So if you got questions, put them in there. Anything in additional you want to add that you're utilizing AI for? I know I called you last minute yesterday afternoon and said, hey, I just share this with everybody if you don't mind, but anything else you're utilizing it for right now?
I feel like Allison and Olivia pretty much touched base on what I'm using. I would say, I said, 2 months to create this. It probably honestly took me like a day of focus and was able to do it. Honestly, I think that they covered everything I'm doing with AI at this point. Just trying to perfect like where we're at and then move on. So
great. All right. Yeah. Hey, thanks for coming, Julie. And again, go follow Julie. Obviously, go follow Olivia. Also, go follow Allison. A couple of things as we go into this. Sam, if we've got any questions, or if you've got questions for any of them, they're all still here. So just feel free to drop those in the chat. Any questions we got right now, Sam? If not, I've got a couple things I wanted to mention. All right.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have a lot of questions in here. So a lot of questions on ChatGPT versus other platforms. Is there something that someone else prefers, or do you use a combination of all three? Let's ask everyone.
Yeah, y'all just jump in. Allison?
I primarily use just ChatGPT because I spent the most time learning it. It may or may not be the best tool, but I think the one you put the time in and learn how to use the best is the best tool for you.
Yeah, like all my stuff's already on ChatGPT, so that's where I focus.
Julie, anything in particular?
Yeah, I agree. I ChatGPT. I have a ton of custom GPTs that I have built out. Pretty much anytime I do a big project, even like this whole HeyGen stuff. Once I kind of create it successfully, I immediately go into ChatGPT and be like, okay, I want to create a custom GPT for this project. Walk me through it, and I love it because it literally just asks me the questions I need to create that custom GPT, so I could just use it down the road and have no wasted time down the road.
Yeah, I think a lot of this too is it's almost like the CRM, with the old saying we've always had with CRMs, the best CRM is the one you use. And I think ChatGPT has obviously been the primary one what people think about. There are so many others out there. And also I've kind of, when I first started, I was doing the podcast, Olivia mentioned this, Rajiv Sajja, the AI Flash, the Real Estate AI Flash podcast, which is great. He interviews agents every week that are utilizing and how they're utilizing AI. It's a great podcast if you haven't checked that out. But when I was really starting this out, and I started on that podcast, Rajiv and I started that together, when we were first starting with that, I was chasing these things. It was like, oh, well, go over here to Gemini and it's got better photos. And then I would go over there, and by the time I got settled in and started using it for photos, ChatGPT had another iteration and it was just as good or better. So I would just say, just get somewhere, get started, and you're going to see some of those results. Sam, other questions that we've got?
Yeah, somebody had asked, and I don't, forgive me, I don't remember who shared this, but about the HOA covenants. So if that was you that shared that, it might be Allison or
me.
All right, Olivia. Of course it was Olivia. Go ahead and share us one more time that process and how you loaded all that content.
Sure. So a lot of times if you have an HOA, they're like 200 to 300 pages of documents, and ChatGPT does much better with like text documents than I'd say like image. And if it's like a JPEG image of text, that you want to get like a PDF file. So if you've got the PDF file of these HOA covenants, then you just upload them. And ChatGPT does have like limits on file sizes. So sometimes you have to like cut it in half and upload it. So just be aware of that if it's a really big HOA. But I just upload them all. I have a custom GPT that I made just for this, but you could just do like a file like Allison has and have it for like a neighborhood and put that neighborhood, all of their covenants and info in it. And if you've got that as a organization tool, if you need to like update them, or sometimes the budget gets updated, month over month, when you're doing another deal in that neighborhood, just throw them back in there and say these are the updated versions. But once All of that is in the chat GPT. You just ask it questions, like, hey, are fences allowed in this neighborhood? What are the 3 fence types that I can do? Can you give me examples? Can you give me a picture that shows what kind of fences I can have in this neighborhood? And so you're walking through and you're just like, oh, my dogs need a fence with your client. They're in the backyard. And they're like, oh yeah, you can have, I say this to clients, you can have a fence. Let me just pull it up. Give me 1 second. And then I just go into chat and I'm say, please tell me the fences that you're allowed to have in Ford's Colony, one of our big communities here. And it'll pull it up and it'll even talk back at me if I've got it on my phone. Remember, I like to talk to it. And then it'll talk at my clients and be like, you can have a white picket fence and, or a black aluminum, powdered aluminum fence, and even go deeper. You need to have 10-foot setback line from the property line. You cannot have fences on the golf course. And so that's just one deep dive example, but you can literally do that with anything. What are the approved colors of the neighborhood? What, because you get these questions from clients all the time. At least I do, while you're walking through houses, or I get questions on listing appointments because some of the HOAs here will do an actual walk around your house before you can sell it to make sure you're in compliance. Very annoying, right? So at a listing appointment, if I see something that might not be in compliance, I'll just ask it real quick, hey, pull up all of the compliance notes for Ford's Colony and please shoot them to me in a text message form. Well, then I can go through and be like, hey, I noticed your shutter is falling off. We're going to need to put that back on for you to be able to sell this in this neighborhood. Or one that I get all the time is they make people repaint their mailbox a lot in these neighborhoods. And so I can see that and I'm bringing value already in the listing appointment. And that helps me win more listings.
Yeah, it's really good. And, what we were just talking about, Olivia was saying about, using it. She's talking about custom GPTs, just so you guys know, because there's so many, there's levels to this stuff, as we always say. And Rajiv is actually going to be on in about 3 or 4 weeks. And we're going to go through some specific GPTs that are easy buttons for you guys to be able to hit. But then he's going to explain how to develop a custom GPT as well. And when Olivia's talking about the files and what Allison does, and even the chats, once you've got that loaded up, you can pull it up by and search it for that particular neighborhood or whatever. It's going to pull that information up, and then it's real easy. You just want to make sure that you don't just necessarily ask the question where it gets confused. Olivia, you and I have talked about that, where it's got multiple different places. You want to make sure that you're zeroing in on the right communities on those. That's where you're using the custom GPTs, correct?
Correct. Yeah. You want to keep it organized because if the neighborhoods are similar, it can get confused and you don't want to give the wrong information. So just make sure, however you're uploading, it is organized in a way that you can ask it to give you back the right information.
Great. All right, Sam, other questions?
Yeah, that leads to a great question, and this will be for Julie and Allison. What is your process of verifying? So when you ask ChatGPT to do something, analyze data, write you something, answer a question, how do you go about verifying or making sure it's not hallucinating and giving you really a wrong answer that sounds really, really right? Allison, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I read
Julie
it.
was like, did you notice that? Julie was like, Go ahead, Allison.
No,
I saw it.
I proofread everything, of course, but when I'm asking it to, depending what it is, but I'm very specific. For example, if I want it to write remarks or copy or something, I say, in Massachusetts, what are the rules? Like, please remember the rules of Massachusetts or Massachusetts fair housing rules. And I wish I had an example, but I know I've used that. So I really try to stay within those parameters, and I give ChatGPT the parameters that are necessary for whatever the prompt or the output is that I'm looking for. So I often will say, in Massachusetts, what is, help me with the timeline or what a client should expect because we're a 2-step process here, or our fair housing laws are, we have more than some other states. So that's really how I try to stay within the framework of that. And then I also will tell it not to plagiarize. If I'm using
that's good.
If I'm using somebody else's blog or email as inspiration, like I got a great email from a lender the other day, loved it, wanted to use some of it. I don't want to plagiarize it. So I also tell it, please don't plagiarize.
Yeah, it's really good. Julie, anything you're doing to safeguard some of that or to just to double check things?
I don't know that I put in, I don't know that I ask for anything that is, that I don't know something about, I guess. So I don't think that I've ever been in a situation to where I, can't fact check it myself or know a little bit about it to know whether it's true or not. So I think I use
I've
it
heard
more
people.
as a brainstorming and more than I am like tell me all about or whatever. And
Right.
I constantly am clicking on any of the links or that it's where it's getting its information. I'm constantly clicking on those to dive deeper into where it's coming from and stuff. So
Yeah.
Exactly. You can also to cite its sources. Like I will ask it to cite sources. If I'm asking for something a little bit more detailed, I want to know the sources. So same thing, Julie, I'll check it
yeah.
that way.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. What Allison said is if you're using data, ask it to cite the sources for you, and then it's actually the sources, and it's not you that's providing that information. So from that standpoint, that's something that I've seen a lot of people do. And if you're concerned about it, being specific on some of that, I've also seen that where we've added some of the language that's like, hey, I want to make sure that this is accurate information, that you're not hallucinating or you're not making any of this up or trying to work from a place of something that you're just coming to a conclusion without facts. So those are the little things that you can do. And I would just say if you're concerned about that, just double check the first few things and make sure that it is in line, and that way you'll know that you'll know. Sam?
How about some really great prompts that you've recently discovered that just seem to be like rocking it? I'll start with Olivia because I'm sure you've got a plethora of those. What are some ones that have just gotten you excited lately?
Well, I've been doing every fall, I try to take a look at my business, reconfigure it, get ready to go into hardcore, like getting new clients for the new year. And a part of what I do for that is a lot of comparable analysis with other agents in my market. And so a prompt that I recently used that gave me a lot more information than I was expecting is just, hey, in Williamsburg, Virginia, please give me the top 3 agents, give me all of the links to any of their, social media, websites, etc. Please go into all of those links and take out, the top 5 tips from every single agent on this list of what they're doing that I am not. And because my chat has learned me, I've taught it about me, I've given it all of my information, it then spit out like a 7-page document analysis of my top 3 competitors that I compete with for listings the most. And basically was like, do this, do that, do that. And I've already done like 10 of them and gotten 7 listings for next week. So
Great.
recommend.
Really good.
Julie.
Man, I don't feel like I'm a good prompter. Like
no?
I mean, I prompt what I need and it has so much history on me. I think that I give it so much. It knows so much about me. And, my best prompt is ask me any question to get me to my answer. Like that is probably my best prompt. What do you need to ask me to get to my answer?
Correct. Answer. I have lately began as I ask it questions. I say, before you give me a response, ask me 10 more questions that'll help you clarify what I'm doing. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Allison, how about you?
Well, like my mind is blown every time I ask it like a question, and it gives me like the campaign content calendar I showed in my slides. But actually the one that's been really helpful lately is instructions. I wanted to better utilize the projects. I wanted it to be able to pull from all of the data. Each project is a listing, and I wanted it to be able to every output be SEO optimized, generative AI optimized. If we still use hashtags here, the hashtags I want. I want, if I put it on YouTube, you need to write it in paragraph form for me with commas so I can copy and paste. So I started this whole prompt of asking it to help me. And now every time I think of something new, like I hate the M dashes, the little long dashes, please don't use those. So it just automatically updates all of my instructions for the project folders and my overall instructions. And that's been really powerful and saved me a lot of time from having to rewrite the same prompt and questions every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things too. I'm like a lot of y'all. I'm utilizing the voice prompt. If you aren't utilizing that, just simply go into whatever you're using, ChatGPT, and just say, "Hey, how do I set up where I can actually communicate with you and utilize the voice prompt?" It'll tell you exactly what to do. It'll show you how to do that. And so, literally, one of the most effective things that we've been doing also is similar to what Allison did. Is we're actually taking it and just having the conversation about the upcoming listing appointment and giving it as much data as we can. So I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just stop. But and then I'll tell you the prompt. But this is basically like a conversation along those lines. So if I'm prompting this up, hey, I'm getting ready to go on a listing appointment, and I'm actually wondering the best way to communicate with this couple. The husband is an engineer. The wife is actually a stay-at-home mom. What should I be doing, and how should I frame the conversations and provide them with details that's going to make sure that I connect with both of them?
Absolutely, Jimmy. Let's make sure you're connecting with both of them in a way that really resonates. So for the engineer husband, he's probably going to appreciate details, logic, and a bit of the data-driven side of things. You might want to come prepared with some clear market stats, maybe some recent comparables that show why you're suggesting certain listing prices or strategies. Basically, he'll lightly respond.
All right, for time's sake, thank you, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
You're
Jimmy,
so
mine is also an English butler. Thank you for that.
Hey, let me just say this, y'all. I always wanted an English butler.
I go a step further.
Come on, y'all. I'm paying that paid version every time. I'll promise you. So
I take it a step further. I make it then do scripting with me and like go over like any, like talk to me about how I defend my commission, talk to, and all of that too.
Yeah, same thing, Olivia. We'll go in there and we'll say, hey, what are the most likely questions that the wife will have in this listing presentation? Or what will the most likely questions? And I would like for you to role play that with me. And then it just, boom, it goes, I will, absolutely, Jimmy. I will take, the role. I mean, it's crazy. So anyway, that's kind of what, I hope that helps. So other questions that we've got, Sam, let's keep moving. I'm sorry.
We're way over time, but that's because these ladies are rock stars and they hold everybody's attention. You're getting lots of love in the chat. Everybody's handle is now in the chat. If you want to go there and click on that so you can follow them, including Rajiv Saja, who is going to be on our episode in the coming weeks here. Follow him and listen to his podcast as well. And wow, what another great.
Yeah, thank you. Let me mention as we're closing this up, one last thing. Because a lot of people are asking, if you're wanting to see the replay of this, you can go to my YouTube channel, go and click the live button, because these are on live feeds as well. And so all the replays are actually there. So if you've missed any of the episodes, you wanted to see any of these, or you want to go back and dive into something that one of the three of them mentioned, you can absolutely do it there. And so listen, thanks again, Sam. Obviously, hey, look, we were testing some new equipment out today. It was a little clunky. So I appreciate everybody being patient with me and mine being clunky. And then just Sam, thanks for jumping in. Listen, these are three rock stars. Follow all three of them, and I promise you, you're going to get some ideas that will help you in your local business as well. Thank y'all so much. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.